Big Brother, mainstream media, government cover-ups. You want answers? Well, so does he. He's Alex Jones on the GCN Radio Network. And now, live from Austin, Texas, Alex Jones.
Well, we've got another jam-packed broadcast lined up for you today. We have Mark Crutcher, the filmmaker of Maafa 21, Black Genocide of the 21st Century America, getting into the eugenicist because it dovetails with headlines like this one: Beckham's a bad example for families, and calls to make it the law that you can't have more than 2 children. You know, how dare people have children? I want to look at eugenics and why the shadow government military-industrial complex is spiking the food, the water, with sterilants and carcinogens. The most important information we could cover, we are going to be covering today with our guest. Big news, bullet tax proposed in Baltimore, $1 per bullet. This is the way they're planning to strangle the Second Amendment. We'll continue to look at Operation Fast and Furious and the fact that it ties directly to the White House, shipping guns all over Latin America, not just Mexico, as a pretext to knock out their competition in the drug trade, and also blame the Second Amendment for violence in Mexico and south of that southern North American country. Rupert Murdoch, just minutes ago, is being grilled by a parliamentary inquiry in the United Kingdom, and someone tried to throw white powder on him and failed. And that is just breaking, so we'll continue to track that as it unfolds. You know, Princess Diana told her butler and friends, and even made a videotape that the government confiscated. They were unable to get her diary that also said the same thing, that Charles has told me he's going to kill me in a staged auto accident. That's a favorite intelligence agency way to kill you. It's a CIA MI6 favorite. And even despite the fact that then there was evidence they did murder her, the government inquest said that no such thing happened and that the Easter Bunny was indeed real. Same thing happened with the Hutton inquiry with Dr. David Kelly, who was going to blow the whistle on no WMDs in Iraq. He was the head WMD inspector out of England to the UN. They, of course, murdered him, even though he told folks, quote, "I've been threatened, I'll be found dead in the woods." He was found dead in the woods. Continuing, somebody's coming to get me. Terrified phone hacking whistleblower from News of the World feared for his life before he was found dead. In the middle of this giant scandal that could bring down the Prime Minister, David Cameron, with calls for his resignation, calls for Rupert Murdoch to stand down, and the fact that 2 major police chiefs of both the Scotland Yard and the Metropolitan Police Commissioner have had to stand down, and others, the head of News Corps over in England has been arrested. None of that matters, because the police say from the minutes after finding the dead body that they don't think foul play is involved. Kind of like the girlfriend of the big pharmacological CEO out in L.A. who was found hanging, bound, and gagged dead from the front railing days after the kid fell down the stairs and died. Just no big deal. You got deaths going on in a house, kids falling downstairs dying, people hanging from ropes dead. I mean, you might as well have Freddy Krueger dancing around, slicing people up on television. They'll say it's a natural cause of death. You know, they shotgun you twice in the head like Gary Webb for exposing CIA drug trafficking. I mean, ladies and gentlemen, they could find me, you know, cut up in little pieces in a bag, and they'd say that I committed suicide. I will never commit suicide. Never, 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 never. If I get cancer, I will fight it like Darth Vader. I will go through every regimen there is to hang on to life because I love it. And I want to continue to fight the globalist. I will never, 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 no matter what anybody says after the fact, commit suicide. Never, 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 never. Now that seems obnoxious to say never 27 times. But the reason I did is because the D.C. madam on my show said she would never commit suicide. Her landlord said she was being followed and being threatened. She was taking documents to her mom's house before she went to prison, and she was found hung in her shed at mommy's house. Then they had some so-called friend who didn't even know her pop up and say, oh, she said she was going to commit suicide. So if that ever happens, that person's a dirty globalist agent and a liar. Live, my friends. It is Tuesday, the 19th day of July, 2011. Rupert Murdoch had somebody try to throw what appears to be a small pie on him during the parliamentary inquiry into the hacking scandal, threatening to bring down the News Corp empire in the United Kingdom and perhaps worldwide, with criminal investigations now opened not just in the UK, but also in Australia, and moves to do so here in the United States. Now, with all of that said, the White House has announced they're going to leave at least 15,000 troops permanently in Iraq, and is renaming them diplomats. Kind of like a year and a half ago, they renamed the 50,000 combat troops combat support troops. So more lawyering, more semantical games. And in Paul Watson's article that we'll be going over later, he breaks down the fact that Bob Baer, former high-level CIA officer, and Debka File, which is an Israeli intelligence-linked group, and others, are saying that the war is on for September against Iran. Now, that doesn't mean that's going to happen, but the military has been told that Israel is planning strikes against their nuclear facilities, their power-generating facilities, and their enrichment facilities coming up in September. Now, the military's been told that U.S. troops are going to go in late September, early October into Libya. But now the French and the Italians have come out, who've been driving the war, and have said, give him time to step down. And reportedly, he's talking about stepping down. The reason that has some credibility now, previously they said he was going to step down in the last 4 months. It wasn't true, is because they're calling for a ceasefire while they either jockey their rebel al-Qaeda forces around that the White House has now officially recognized as the government, or because they are planning to let him have some type of exit strategy or stratagem out of the country. And that would certainly be a good thing. I'd rather not have a new war over there, even though it means the globalists will grab tens of billions in gold and take control of the largest oil supply in Africa and then suppress the pumping of the oil so they can artificially jack up prices. I would really like to not see a new war over there in North Africa, and a lot of dead U.S. troops and dead Libyans. So that is certainly some good news on that front. Getting into the latest news on the whole phone hacking situation. You know, the top police chief of Scotland Yard stepped down over the weekend. The head of News Corp over in the UK was arrested. Now the head of the Metropolitan Police, the police commissioner, has also been forced to step down due to connections to reported bribery. And this is how the whole thing works. And there's a lot of old news coming out now, resurfacing, about News of the World hooked into British intelligence and military intelligence, digging up dirt on politicians during the 1990s. And this is basically like WikiLeaks, but an old tech version of it, where different branches of government want to sabotage each other, generally so they can climb the ladder and get into power. It's all part of backstabbing. And so instead of having WikiLeaks release information to engage in infighting, they would have News of the World and other tabloids do it. And, of course, the Metropolitan Police are involved. Of course, Scotland Yard is involved. Of course, British intelligence is involved. And this is a Labour Party backed up by BBC fight against the Tories, backed up by News Corp that is taking over the media. And BBC is scared and has literally a fraction of the listeners and viewers they had just a decade ago. And so this is an attempt to keep state-run media in charge. Either way, it's bad. I mean, you've got the neocon arm and you've got the liberal Fabian socialist arm, and they're just running around fighting with each other. But make no mistake that at the end of the day here, this is nothing but an internal fight going on. And, George Soros is heavily hooked up with the Labour Party, Gordon Brown, the globalist, the Fabian socialist. On the U.S. front, we have had Media Matters, now reportedly over a year ago, but it came out a few months ago in Politico, the documents, the memos from Media Matters saying we will physically infiltrate News Corp, Fox News. We will sabotage it. We will destroy it. We will go in and get employed there, and we will sabotage them. And that is espionage. And that's publicly admitted, and I pointed that out at the time that it was criminal. And pointed out that if anybody else did this, it would be illegal. What do you think Fox News and its European subsidiaries are doing? They're phone hacking. They're breaking in. They're tracking politicians. They're getting fed dirt by police as part of a political manipulation. And that's illegal. And they should be punished for it. But Media Matters is on record with that memo that they openly bragged about once it got leaked, probably by them, because it's a positive article in Politico. And that's a tactic. They knew this was going to come out, so they had Politico come out and report on it like it was a wonderful, cutesy thing to do. Oh, look, they're going to infiltrate. Oh, look, they're going to get into News Corp and destroy them from within. I mean, that's illegal. I mean, if a memo came out that say I had people working for me at Infowars, and I said, let's get jobs at the Austin American-Statesman, and let's dig up dirt on them internally, but also let's sabotage them. Our mission is to destroy them. I would be arrested for racketeering organized crime. And I should be. That is racketeering. That is organized crime. That is sabotage. If I climb the fence, hypothetically, let's say I had a company that sold natural gas, and I had trucks that went around town. And if I climbed the fence of my competitor in the middle of the night and went in and sabotaged equipment and then called in safety violations to the state board that deals with safety and then had them shut down for a few days, and it was in the news that they had safety violations and they lost customers, if I was caught, I would be charged with organized crime, racketeering, and sabotage. Okay, these are serious, hardcore felonies. If you did that, you would be. In fact, I meant to do it yesterday. I'm going to cover this more later in the broadcast, coming up in the third hour. I'm going to reprint that Politico because I want to read from the memo itself. I forget the exact headline. It was, if you want to pull it up, it was something like Media Matters memo, infiltrate Fox News, destroy it from within. And you can pull up the Politico article that has the memo in it. And so my point is, yeah, there it is, Media Matters, war against Fox. And that came out a few months ago. And you can just pull that article up. That was from March 26th, so I guess 4 or 5 months ago. Time flies. And so there it is. We're going to print that and later cover it. So that's what I had to say about this. Prosecute Rupert Murdoch to the fullest extent of the law. But at the same time, we need to see a prosecution of George Soros' outfit, Media Matters. I mean, the thing is tax exempt when they are an ardent political arm of the Obama administration on record and brag that they get walking orders and marching orders from the White House, and they're funded by George Soros, and they're saying infiltrate and destroy media companies. That's what's going on with News Corp. Now, I told you last week, over a week ago, in fact, it'd be great if YouTubers, on the Alex Jones channel would pull up that, because I don't have the staff to sit there and show you every week how I was right last week. And I said, listen, this goes a lot deeper with what's happening at News Corp. It's an internal fight. If you're in good stead with the globalist, they will let you engage basically in bloody murder. It's impossible to get in trouble. This is an internal fight. And I said, don't make no mistake, major corporations, Fortune 100 especially, most of them are bigger than the GDPs of major nations. Out of the top 100 GDPs, over 50, pull up the numbers, Forbes reports on every year, over 50 are corporations, not countries. They have mercs, they have spies, they have sex operatives, they have hitmen. In most major cities, good old boys that run the town have hitmen. It isn't just Italian mafia. There's plenty of wealthy old families in Austin. I mean, LBJ had hitmen when he was in Congress. But I'm not going to get off into all that right now. The point is that this is how the real world works. And I told you there were going to be hitmen involved over a week ago, repeatedly. I said, they've got hitmen, and if this continues, there's going to be deaths. Well, What's in the Daily Mail? What is in BBC? Someone's coming to get me. Terrified phone hacking whistleblower feared for his life before